going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night, November something. It's close to December, something like that. It's Fandom Empire Live. Thanks for tuning in either before or after the fact. I know a bunch of people have been tuning in after the fact lately, and understandable. Lots to talk about tonight. There's some movie news. There's some movie rumors, which we can touch on some things and not other things. We're doing our top performances. Top Michael Myers performances and top Spider-Man performances. Strictly live action, of course. Joining me on this one, he is the host of the Rick and Morty Fan Show, co-host of the upcoming Star Wars Fandom podcast, and I suppose he's going to be involved in House of the Empire as well. It's the guy with the flashy lights. It's Kieran. What's going on, man?
I better be part of that House of the Dragon thing because I'm super excited about that. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I've been dieting. I don't think I mentioned this before, but dieting, working out, getting steps in, so draining. I know why lots of people just like being fat now, which is like me for the last 2 years, probably. Last 2 years, people are like, man, you're getting kind of fat. I'm like, thank you. And now I'm like, this is the worst decision ever. Let myself go. So yeah, I'm just tired.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I haven't had a glass of pop or a bottle of pop or a can of pop in 9 days now. So cut that out of my diet. Was very displeased with, obviously I have some body things going on that helped to a disastrous performance at that softball tournament. But I just really, it didn't feel like me. And I wanted to be able to put in a better performance next time. And body's already feeling like 10 times better than it was 2 weeks ago. So, although the bar's low, the bar is low. Also joining us tonight, man, myth, legend, no, not Tommy B, Mikey B. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Excited to be here. We're going to miss Tommy B tonight, but he's on another fucking vacation.
Right?
Another one. Man.
What does this guy fucking do for a living?
Right? How many vacations does this fucking guy get?
Although after tomorrow, I am off the next 5 days for Thanksgiving. I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina. So
I guess I'll take that moment. Go ahead.
It's a vacation for me when I don't have to work 2 jobs in a day.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. So hopefully that's good. I'm ready to eat a bunch of food, get fat, and go to Best Buy and fight over 4K DVDs for $5.
Ooh. That sounds dangerous, man. Sounds like living life on the dangerous side.
They got some good ones, 4K DVDs, some new ones for $8. I'm about to go grab
they never have great sales like that up here. We were talking about this last night. Like the sales get as good as like on the really expensive stuff, you might see 25% off. At the odd place, 30%. But you ain't getting no 50 to 70% off unless the store's going out of business.
I'm guessing that doesn't apply for y'all online either. Like if you go online.
I think we can buy stuff from the US on Black Friday.
And I'm just asking because Best Buy has already they've already launched their DVDs for the Black Friday sales online. So
our dollar is shit compared to yours, though. So,
yeah, that's what I hear.
It is indeed. We got so much to talk about tonight. There's news out of Amazon about them and EA nearing a deal for a Mass Effect series, which, as much as I would love that, holy fuck, you could do that thing wrong so many different ways. And when you're talking big budget shows, it would have to be a monstrous budget to do that show properly. But then again, we haven't seen anything of their Lord of the Rings bit yet, and they paid a shit ton for that. So Amazon and Mr. Jeffrey Bezos are not afraid to throw around money. So that's coming. We'll talk about that in a bit. We have our lists of the top Michael Myers performers. We'll probably get to that first before the Spider-Man list, because the Spider-Man list is probably going to have a little more discussion. Where the Michael Myers list, it's basically one list will come up on screen, and then we'll give our thoughts on the person's list, aka attack that guy for what he chose, and then move on to the next person. Actually, the lists all make a lot of sense. I've got to see them all, so it's good stuff. Good stuff. By the way, I think I said it earlier, but happy Thanksgiving to all of our American listeners and viewers out there. Be safe. Big accidents usually happen around holiday season, and just be alert. Be alert, stay safe. That's what those safety bunny people said. I forget what they were called now, but you know what I'm talking about, Kieran. They wouldn't know it, but you would.
Oh, yeah. Bert and
Stay
Gert.
alert.
Stay alert. Stay
Yeah.
safe.
That's the one. Why don't we start off with Mass Effect, guys? Because this is a sci-fi genre video game series that a lot of people love. It's one of BioWare's best. Definitely on their Mount Rushmore of games. To do something like this properly, it needs to be visually appealing. And that's going to be a shit ton of money. We're not talking like Star Wars visually appealing either. We're talking like Dune level visually appealing, pardon me. Thoughts on a Mass Effect Amazon series, and God knows if they're just getting around to an agreement now, and that's not even finalized, this show at the earliest is a couple years away, and probably 3. But thoughts, guys?
I've never played the game before.
Really? I know you're not.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I was gonna let y'all discuss. I don't know much about it. I do know the visuals are crazy. And to put this on film, it's gonna take a lot of time. So obviously, like you said, it's gonna be at least 3 years. I mean, 2 is if everything goes right, and that never happens. So I would say at least 3+ years. From if they want to make it right. So
yeah, I think so. All right, so we can't
not show notes, or did you just spring this on us right now?
I just sprung it on us because it literally just happened. It just came out about an hour ago, and we posted it on the group. It's one of the things that's making a lot of news at the moment. So, also, it's important to note that reviews are in for Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. And the common consensus is it's not a very good movie. However, to their credit, they're quick to point out, judging it solely as a movie, if you're a fan of the franchise and a fan of the first couple of games, the short runtime might bother you, but there's tons of stuff in there that stays way more faithful to the games than the previous adaptation of the of the previous games, which
series, yeah.
I don't think they really. When I look back at it, the closest one to a game I think is the second movie, which is kind of like on par with the third game, and the rest is quite a bit different. Even the first movie is quite a bit different. I wasn't a big fan of those movies.
Those movies are nothing close to the video games. They didn't follow them even slightly, like not even in the slightest. Like it was almost as if whoever made those movies had never played a Resident Evil game before. They just kind of got the lowdown on what the characters look like, and maybe a little bit about what they would kind of be like. A little bit of personality traits, but the movies are whatever. They're the movies. They were kind of like popcorn. They're kind of like popcorn flicks. But I'm so excited to see it because I am a big fan of Resident Evil. So I will get all the things played out and know exactly how they were supposed to be in the games. And I'm sure I'll like it anyways. I mean, if it's crap acting and it's garbage, then I'll acknowledge that that's what it was, and I probably still enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I was never looking for this movie to be up for any awards. I just wanted something that was faithful to the original story, and it sounds like we're getting something pretty damn close to that. So sign me up. I can live with the rest. Mike, what have you heard on Resident Evil so far?
Just the same reviews that you have. I'm not big into Resident Evil. I don't know too much about it, but I know that hearing you talk about it ever since it was announced and being excited for it. I don't know. I hope it turns out right for what you guys want it to be. I mean, I know it's always tough to listen to the critics. I mean, and to base expectations off of what they say. So
yeah, never do that. If you can do your best to not base your expectations off of what someone else is saying, you'll be better off for it, because we all have different expectations and different insights on what we like. There's no two people that are completely one and the same. So, but yeah, Resident Evil officially opens tomorrow. But I know a lot of people are seeing it tonight, and some of the people got to see it yesterday as well. So hopefully everybody enjoys it. It's going to be a movie I check out. And tomorrow, probably around noon, there's a Resident Evil ranking video going up on the channel. And it's the 6 live action movies and 3 animated movies, all combined into one list of 9, and see where they fall as a preview to the new movie. So be on the lookout for that. Let's keep the ball rolling here, guys. Right into the Halloween list. This might be a shorter show tonight, so let's just see what happens. Gives more time for questions later and the audience to dictate the start your ranking yet. Just come on. Huh? Oh, just came on. Okay. I thought she was like, just come on and start the ranking.
Just start the goddamn ranking, guys.
All right. Well, we'll start with Mikey Bish. And these fellas don't know that I've taken pictures of them and attached them to the graphics, so apologies.
oh God. You're gonna
you
get
are
judged
literally
on
the
what
worst
shows.
person.
First up, it's Mike's list.
Damn, I was on vacation, literally drunk off my ass, but at least I got sunglasses on, so you can't see my eyes.
You don't look hammered, so. Mike, walk us through your list and the reasons for each pick, and then Kieran and I will criticize.
Walk us through that choice of hat. That's what I want you to do.
Hey, man.
It came in handy.
Yeah, it came in. I was in Florida. It came in handy when the sunglasses went over the edge of the boat. So
okay, no, on the beach is
anyways. Yeah, I don't walk around wearing that shit just to wear it, because I would judge too. All right, so a couple of things that I really want to talk about. I'll start off with the top 2, and that's going to be the whole Nick Castle, James Jude Courtney debate. For the most part, I know a lot of people say that it's neck and neck. A lot of people still give it to Nick Castle, but I think James Jude Courtney has surpassed Nick Castle. I mean, what he's done in these 2 films have been outstanding. I don't expect anything less in Ends. He's taken what Nick Castle did in the original, and I believe has just mirrored that and put his own style onto it and kind of amplified it in a way. So that's why James Jude Courtney edged out Nick Castle for me. I know that might cause a little debate in the chat, maybe between these 2. I'm not sure, but and then I'll move on to Tyler Mane. I'm not a big fan of the Rob Zombie films. For anybody who knows me knows that I trash these films a lot. I mean, there's H1 I can sit through. But I think Tyler Mane as Michael Myers 1 was outstanding. I didn't really like the only thing that I didn't like about Tyler Mane is the fact that he spoke in H2, and obviously that is due to whoever, the writer of that film. So you can't really blame him. But as Michael Myers, I thought he did phenomenal. The way he walked, the way the aggression that he had with his kills. It was a little different. It was different from what we've seen in the past, in a sense. And standing, I think he's like 6'8" is, I mean, imagine just, I mean, that's fucking terrifying, you know? And then I'll go to my number 4, which is George Wilbur. I am a big fan of 4. And I've grown to really love 6. And to be honest with you, he goes fucking crazy in 6. I mean, there's so many kills that stick out to me that where he just went off. He reminded me a little bit of Tyler Mane, and the gruesomeness of his kills, and a little bit of, you know, gruesomeness like we saw in Halloween Kills. So that's why he's number 4 on my list, and kind of jumping down on my list a little bit. I'll go to Aaron Armstrong. He made the list obviously for the flashback and Halloween Kills. I think he had a strong opportunity, if given more screen time, to be way up on this list. But he comes in where he comes in just because of that lack of screen time. I was very impressed for what he did. And I wish we could have got more of that, but I think that he did great. And then number 9, sorry, Kieran, I had to go with Don Shanks in Halloween 5. Just wasn't a fan. We talked about it earlier. I think the last show, the show before that, it's just nothing really stuck out to me about him. I just didn't like his performance at all. So that's my list, and I'll step back, mute my mic, and listen to y'all.
You don't have to mute your mic, but let's pull up his list here, Kieran. Anything stand out to you that's just a head scratcher, head shaker, or anything that like you're just impressed by or intrigued by?
This is similar enough to my list.
It is pretty close.
I like that. You know, he's a big fan of H2O, and he didn't, you know, pump up Chris Duran just for that reason or anything. So it seems like it's pretty similar to my list. My list has a couple people up or down 2, I think, but I don't think anybody jumps really that far. I mean, I thought it was interesting that he likes the robotic H4 George P. Wilbur, and I think that's probably one that a lot of people debate on big time. So you'll see on my list where that comes. I mean, it's interesting because he doesn't play Myers like anyone else. Like it sticks out way different, and some people really like it because it's very definitive, and you remember exactly how he moved in that, and you remember how he throws someone, and you remember how he walks. There's even one point where I think he's sneaking up on the electricity worker, and like he's standing, he almost looks like he's doing like a pirouette. It looks really weird. His legs are super close together and his arms are out like this, and he's definitely being very robotic, and that sticks out to me, and a lot of people like that though, and I'm pretty sure Sean likes that, but we'll see when his list comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like in everyone's list, it's an interesting one to look at where they rank George P. Wilbur.
Yeah, I tried to do my best as I could, as far as separating the movie itself from the performance of Michael Myers. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of the Rob Zombie films, but as Michael Myers, I thought Tyler Mane did amazing. I'm a big fan of Halloween 2. It's my second favorite film in the franchise, but you see Dick Warlock is not number 2. So I tried to do my best as far as being as fair as possible and judging you know, the actors for who they played and how they lived up to, I guess you could say, Nick Castle and you know what made us all fall in love with Michael Myers. So yeah, I thought the interesting one on here was Mr. Armstrong. I thought that you know, more screen time, he could have moved up a little bit higher on the list, but I don't know. I just thought he did pretty good for what he did. And then Wilbur, I definitely understand where you're coming from, Kieran, and Halloween 4. And, you know, that sticks out to me as well. But, I mean, his performance in 6, I don't know. I just thought he was different. I mean, he was gruesome. I mean, he showed no remorse for anybody. I mean, he was just I don't know, that hospital, the massacre in the operating room, the kill in the basement. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I liked him a lot in 6 more than I did 4 personally.
All right, let's pull up another list here. Actually, quickly while I have your list up, I'm glad that I think a lot of people just designate Nick Castle as the automatic number one because he's the original. The same way when people are ranking movies, a lot of people will be like, well, you got to pick the original. The original has to be first. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I was happy to see someone other than me didn't have Nick Castle at number one. And speaking of my list, here we go. So I had Don Shanks at the dead last, which I believe Mike did as well. Yep. Yeah. Then I had Chris Duran at 8. Just not really a fan of anything Michael does in Halloween H2O, including the arm out walk that he does when he's chasing after Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams right before she clubs him with a stone, and it somehow makes him does the most damage to him in the movie, other than obviously fake Michael getting his head cut off. Tyler Mane 7, and that's not a knock on Tyler Mane. I actually really like Tyler Mane as Michael Myers, but I like him as a different Michael Myers. Like he's not the Michael that we're used to. He's not the Michael that's most common. And yet we get this giant Michael, and I think he does really well. Brad Lorre from H8. I hate H8. I think Halloween Resurrection is one steaming pile of shit. And I don't even like the mask either. I hate the eyeliner and just can't stand it. And yet the movements, though, if you really think about how Michael moves in that movie and the kills and how he interacts, it's actually really good. Like I had to fight hard over Brad Lorre and Dick Warlock for 5, and ended up with Warlock at 5, Aaron Armstrong at 4, which I could be wrong on this, but I'm 99% sure he has a couple of scenes in Halloween 2018. And they both involve when Michael goes down the stairs in Laurie's house. I believe he was the stunt double for it. Could be wrong on that front. Someone can fact check it, but we do know he's in the Kills flashback, and I think that what he did had such an impact. I have George P. Wilbur at number 3, and honestly, I almost had him at number 2. I love the Terminator Myers thing. I love the supernatural Michael. It's one of the reasons why I don't like H5 is because like H5 literally is the meat in the middle of a sandwich between H4 and H6, which have George Wilbur. And I love the way he plays the character. And then the way Don Shanks plays the character for me just takes me out of the movie every time. And then like Mike, I had Nick Castle at 2 and Jude Courtney at 1. I know everybody has that urge to put Castle at number 1 because he's the OG. But when you look at what Courtney's done with the new modern movies and how well the reception is, it's hard not to give him number 1 with everything he's done in those 2 movies and is still going to do to come. And just remember, just because Halloween Ends might be the end of this story doesn't mean that James Jude Courtney can't return in the next few years to play Michael Myers in a different story. So definitely keep that in mind. Thoughts, fellas? Anything stand out here? Yay, nay?
I don't know. I'm kind of shocked to see Tyler Mane where he is. I mean, I thought that I don't know. I thought you liked him a little bit more, but I guess I'm a little wrong on that. I guess what I'm shocked at is Aaron Armstrong being so high. I mean, I understand why. I think he's phenomenal at what he does. I don't know. It's hard for me to put him over a guy like Dick Warlock, who did an entire movie compared to a guy who did 10 minutes of the movie. Like, I understand because Aaron Armstrong was better, and probably given a whole movie, he would have done better than Dick Warlock in my, if I had to guess based on what I have from Aaron Armstrong. It's just, I don't know. I think screen time has to account for a little bit, but I understand why he's at 4.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong in that regard. And I don't mind Dick in 2, but to me, it's very noticeable that like it's not the same character that we had in 1. Like it's supposed to be, but and it's supposed to be that same night, and yet it feels different. And I found in that flashback, it's the closest we've ever had to Nick Castle as Michael, in my opinion, minus some slight differences in the costume. Yeah, it'd be my reasoning for that.
I'm surprised at that too, but I seem to be the only person in the world who doesn't think that he did that great in the flashback, though. I seem to be the only person that thinks that he was like. I mean, he was good. He's not last on my list or anything like that. But sorry,
I'm pretty sure you have him quite high on your list.
Well, he's above the ones I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else to pick out here before we move on to the next one?
Everything
really.
I can say when I'm at my list.
I would strongly suggest anybody who I thought Brad Lorry would have gotten some rebuttal from both of you guys, but if you can stomach watching Resurrection, go watch Resurrection.
I'm not watching Resurrection. Don't even finish that sentence. I'm not going to watch it.
Watch the Michael parts.
I will say, not to get off topic, I definitely voted for Resurrection on the Fandom Empire Twitter poll.
Oh, the Resurrection versus Rob Zombie's Halloween 2?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I have not placed a vote. And
I figured you would go too, because I know you don't like it, but you said it's one of those guilty pleasures, or you could just watch it for the shits and giggles.
Yeah, it's so bad that it makes me laugh. That makes me think, oh wow, I almost have to pick Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 over Resurrection.
Man, I sit back and I think about Resurrection though, and obviously Buster was a problem for me, and I don't know. I just feel like maybe they were a little bit too ahead of their time with the idea of it with the cameras and everything. I just think they were a little bit ahead of their time. I mean, because it's different. I understand where they're going from, and I don't know. I just didn't like the acting. Maybe if the acting was better and they didn't have Busta in there, maybe it would be a little bit better. But I don't know. I just think it's just the whole story was maybe a little bit ahead of its time.
All right. Melissa says, show your list, Kieran. Here we go. It's time for a Kieran list.
I got no hair there. Yeah. Holy shit, what did I do with my list? I did some of this wrong.
I was going to say, this is your list, man.
Well, see, what I did was I copied what you did, and then I cut and pasted people where I thought they should go, and then I think I messed some of it up. But anyways, most of it's still good. James Jude Courtney is number one for me. I wish I could put someone different up there because we're all unanimous, and that's never good for you really don't want that when you're having a discussion. But yeah, I think that he's the best Michael because he's the one who I think is the spookiest and really embodies the idea of Michael Myers for me and what I like, which is that yeah, he can sneak around and not be heard or whatever, but he can also be very vicious. So I feel like he takes the Dick Warlock sort of creepy stalking awesomeness that is Michael Myers, but also combines it with some of the crazy savage stuff that we were talking about with Tyler Mane. I do really like Tyler Mane in those movies, and I honestly think the movies are I mean, we've said it a million times. The movies, well, no, sorry, RZ2 is terrible. I don't want to lump that together. RZ1 is, it would be better if it just wasn't a Halloween movie. And we've said that a few times. If it was just its own thing and they made something new and didn't slap Michael Myers on there, then he was terrifying in that movie. You can imagine most Michael Myers, you have to imagine that he has superhuman strength to be able to do the things he can do because he's played by regular bodied dudes normally, maybe tall guys, but I don't think James Jude Courtney can crush my skull. I feel like if I met Tyler Mane and he put his head on my skull, I would be afraid he could just crush it. Like, so I think he brings a big, and like I said, I think James Jude Courtney combines the sneakiness and the savagery together. So I think that's what makes him number one. I guess I have Dick Warlock higher on my list than both of you guys. I do like a lot of the movements and the way that he is kind of like a mix of Michael Myers, but a little bit of like Undertaker type of movements in there. And even though H4 is one of my favorite movies, and I have called it my favorite Halloween movie before, I don't know if it's there now. I've kind of reverted back to the original being my favorite. But I don't like the robotic movements in H4. H4 for me is all about it's all about Loomis for me. So same thing as H5. I love H5. Those Michael Myers aren't high on my list, 4 or 5, but both those movies are all about Loomis for me. I think that the performances by Donald Pleasance is what makes those movies. But I do really like Michael Myers in H2, so that's what put that up there. I had to put Brad Lorre last because I don't even remember most of that movie because I thought it was so terrible, so fucking putrid, so just absolutely terrible. I never want to fucking watch that goddamn thing again. And so
you
he goes
don't
last just
remember it,
because
so technically speaking, you could use a refresher just so you remember the movie.
I'm not watching the movie.
I kind of like the way he moved a little bit in that movie. Now that Sean pointed it out, I mean, one scene that comes to mind is the tunnel scene. I don't know. I don't know.
Scene, big time.
Yeah, I don't like the movie.
Did you like how he moved when he got kicked in the face?
I mean, it's fucking Busta Rhymes. What you expect? He's obviously just coming off a day off watching my man Bruce Lee kick ass. He was taking notes. And he put them to use.
It's probably true. I'm a big Bruce Lee guy, so.
Nah, I'm not a big Busta guy, so.
So James Jude Courtney across the board goes number one.
I'm proud of y'all.
I hope that doesn't happen with our Spider-Man list.
Oh, it's not happening with our Spider-Man list.
I already know who Sean's number one is. He's mentioned it before.
I know.
Well, it feels like a fitting time to switch topics, and this is going to be a short show. It'll probably be done in about an hour. So.
Talk
about whatever. Sorry, super chat. Matt Whitfield says, was Kieran watching Tom Brady throw interceptions while he made the list? Didn't they annihilate the Giants in the second half of that game? I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tom Brady threw an interception, but it bounced off of Mike Evans' shoulder, so it was more Evans' fault than his.
They kicked their ass so bad they fired their offensive coordinator today, just in time for the Eagles to kick their ass this next weekend. So,
I think your Eagles are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, because of that number 7 wild card spot. If it was just 6, I don't know, but they're starting to play good. I'm not going to sit here and boost them, but
they're starting to play better, and their schedule is starting to get easier. So they're
well, our next 5 games are the Redskins, the Washington football team twice, the Giants twice, and the Jets. So
yeah,
you were going to say something, Mike, before we went into football talk. You had a big smile on your face.
Oh, just the whole Spider-Man list. I'm excited for it.
All right. Well, this isn't the movie ranking, but that's a preview of our thumbnail for the solo movie ranking that'll happen, and then we're going to do one there as well. So there you have that. All right, let's rank the Spider-Man. But we're going to do it in like traditional order, 1, 2, 3, rather than 3, 2, 1.
Man,
we're going to let. Would you rather do it 3, 2, 1?
Yes.
All right. Let's 3, 2, 1 then.
Why are you always trying to throw fucking curveballs at us? You don't think my life is hard enough?
I mean, I'm not saying that.
Oh man.
I'm not going to say that if your wife is within earshot, so she can come on the air and just beat the shit out of you. All right, start with 3 then, and I suppose I'll go first. My number 3 is Tom Holland. I really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I don't have any complaints about him. His movies, I think, have been a little overrated, but I've enjoyed him in them. Like I really like Far From Home, so I shouldn't say that one's overrated. But man, we just watched Homecoming, and it is just not a very good Spider-Man movie. Like at all. It might as well be Spider-Man with Iron Man. And it just I feel like there's so much of that movie where if we're not talking about Tony Stark, we're seeing Tony Stark. If we're not seeing Tony Stark, then we're with Michael Keaton's character. And it's like, this was supposed to be Spider-Man's first solo movie in the MCU, and it didn't feel like he was the center of attention. I don't know if they just didn't trust Tom Holland to do his thing in that movie. So I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed him in Infinity War. I know he's hardly in Endgame. But Tom Holland's my number 3, and it's not because I don't like him. It's just I like the other 2 more.
So would you say would it be safe to say, in your opinion, that the 3 that were cast, you like them all? Like you don't really have a problem with any of them?
Yeah, well, like Jade asked me today, are you doing who's better as Spider-Man and who's better as Peter Parker? I'm like, if I throw that at them, they're probably not going to like it. But I totally agree with that take, because it's like there's some people that think that Christian Bale is the best Bruce Wayne there's ever been and not a very good Batman, for example. And I do think you can do the same thing with Spider-Man. But in general, if you wrap them up as a package, I do like the other 2 better than Tom Holland.
I'm in agreement. Tom Holland fits the Marvel formula that I talk about all the time very well. He's good at cracking jokes in the middle of in the middle of fight scenes, in the middle of something. I think he fits really in what they're trying to do. But when I think of those movies and I think about what I like about Spider-Man is that Spider-Man has to balance being a teenager and being a superhero. I think that's the core of the character, is that he has to deal with real life problems that, me as a teenager had to deal with. There's no other superhero that really got that you can imagine yourself being Spider-Man. Like, I can't imagine myself being any of my X-Men characters. I can't imagine myself being Batman, but Spider-Man was kind of like, this is what like a real person would be like if they could also be a superhero on the side. And that comes with a lot of emotion and emotional problems. And I don't feel like Tom Holland, I feel like he's the worst at invoking emotional scenes and having very heartfelt, scenes, and nothing really that memorable, to be honest. Like so far his performances as Spider-Man have been mostly a joke, and mostly not a joke like bad, but like it's all been jokes between him and his best friend. Everything's been kind of, like when he gets locked in the storage area there, and it's a big joke, and everything's a joke for a while. Nothing is emotional. I think that might change a little bit in this next one, because he goes through a really big choice that he has to make. But I don't feel like it's there. I don't feel like the acting chops. I don't feel like he's been asked to do enough. I don't think there's been very many memorable, iconic moments in either of the Spider-Man movies that he's been in so far, which is not to make fun of the actor, because I'm sure he's a great actor, but
I agree with everything you said. And yet I think he, outside of maybe Chris Hemsworth, is like the best character still like in the fold for the Avengers movies. And who knows if that'll remain that way. It doesn't sound like it.
So you mean with
And
characters being with other characters being dead?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, and they're probably going to lose him too. So,
Do you not like Doctor Strange?
I like Strange. Yeah, I didn't like his
Okay.
movie at all. I thought he had one of the worst movies, but the character itself, I love. But then again, I think Cumberbatch is fucking an incredible talent. So, I dig him.
Yeah, he's one of the best out there right now.
We got 3,
yeah.
Mike.
Not what y'all have. I have Andrew Garfield at 3. So Friday, I woke up Friday morning and I was like, you know what? I haven't seen these movies in a while. So I watched Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, all the way to Far From Home. And I liked all of them, but when it came, I don't know, I didn't gravitate a lot towards the Andrew Garfield movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies for some reason. And I agreed with Kieran as far as Tom Holland not really having too many emotional scenes, and I agree. Like I agree with that. But when I think of Spider-Man and Marvel and what he's supposed to be that goofy teenager. I think Tom Holland fits that more than any of these other two. I mean, they try to make Toby into a nerd type, and Andrew was more of the just kind of an outsider in general. I wouldn't say he was a total nerd, but I don't know. I just think that as far as Peter Parker, Tom Holland, I mean, I don't know. He just fit the teenage style vibe to me, and that's why he's in it. I can't tell you where he's at yet, because I'm still struggling with that. But yeah, Andrew Garfield, number three. It's just, I don't know, man. Like I said, I rewatched the movies, and coming in before I watched them this weekend, I had him at number 3, and I was like, but I haven't seen those two films in a really long time. I'm gonna go into it with an open mind, and I have no problem switching my rankings. I did it with the Michael Myers characters, so I was like, let's see. I don't know. He just didn't gravitate to me, and I wish I could give you a more solid reason. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't stick with me at all. I don't know if that's more the movies or more of Spider-Man. I don't know if I'm holding the movies more against him, but that may be unfair. But he's at number 3 for me.
Why doesn't the chat comment in the chat, whether you're watching this live or after the fact, where you rank Toby, Andrew, and Tom 1, 2, 3? Yeah. All right. So my number 2 is Tobey Maguire, and to touch on it, Mike, you just brought it up, is they went overboard nerd with him. Not that there's a problem if you're overboard nerd, nothing wrong with that. But to me, like, it was too much. None of the comics, none of the old TV shows had him being that overboard nerdy, and I thought that they were really, it was hard to grasp. I also think the third movie in that trilogy is the worst Spider-Man movie ever made. So that goes against him as well. But I dug Toby. I dug most of the villains he went up against. So yeah, no, I'm totally on board with Toby at number 2, and I have my reasons for why I have my number 1 at number 1. But yeah, Toby at 2 for me.
Yeah. Well, my number 2 is Garfield. I do think that Tom Holland has the it factor more than Garfield, so it was hard to rank these two. But I do think that if you're ranking the highs, like the best, Andrew Garfield is the best wisecracking Spider-Man out of all of them.
I think that's key.
It's definitely important, and I mean, if you're a big fan of the Spider-Man animated series from the early '90s, he was very much like that Spider-Man when it came to being wisecracking and making jokes and fooling around with while you're webbing up people and beating up bad guys, you're also making fun of them and making them look stupid. Was a very big Spider-Man thing.
His movies,
Sorry?
in my opinion, felt the most like that '90s show.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And he did do a little bit better with the emotional scenes than Tom Holland has so far, I think.
Just a little bit.
Sorry?
Just
A
a
little
little
bit.
bit.
I mean, Tom Holland, like thinking about it, Tom Holland did have to show some emotion getting over Iron Man's death, and with the leadership
Yeah,
role
it's
that he was
probably
going to have
his
to
best scene.
take.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, he wasn't terrible. I don't think any of them are terrible. I don't think any of us think that any of them are terrible. But I do think that he got that right, but I don't see him as Peter Parker that much. I actually have to
I don't think he was
disagree
Peter
kind of with
Parker
what Sean said, because in all of the animated series, Spider-Man is not shown quite as nerdy. But if you read older Spider-Man comics, he is super nerdy. Like get like push up his glasses, like pocket protector nerdy, and I do have a lot of Spider-Man comic books in my collection, but
I agree with the push up the glasses part, but like the original Spider-Man animated cartoon is based off of a lot of those comics, and even in then he's the push up the glasses type nerd, and yet he always had like this smugness about him. And when he was Spider-Man, he absolutely had had an attitude, a bit of a swagger to him even then. So
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
Tom Holland does the best job of pulling that off.
I think Tom Holland's good at that. I think
Really?
Tom Holland is
Oh.
pretty good at that. I actually think, and I mean, I have, obviously, it's not hard to reverse a list, but I have Maguire at number 1, and I think that he is the worst at that. So, I mean, I'll get into that later when I'm there, but I mean, definitely when it comes to Garfield's movies are the most forgettable in the entire series. I think that they're very cookie cutter, and there's not really a lot good in them. I mean, honestly, they're probably the bottom 2 for me in that whole list. So
Yeah, honestly, Sean, I hate to break your heart, but I kind of agree with Kieran on that one.
I just
And
think
it was
they're
my
forgettable.
Well,
Man.
it was my senses going into this weekend, but I was like, you know what? I only watched those 2 movies once, so let me go back and watch them again and see what I think. And I still come out with those 2 at the bottom. Homecoming. I don't really like the way Homecoming started, and I have to agree with Sean. It's not like the best, but I definitely don't think it's the worst.
Man, the idea that you guys like Homecoming and Spider-Man 3 better than Garfield's movies is just wow. Although I'll say this, Garfield's second movie severely suffered from having no believable villain in the entire movie. And even the first one, the villain wasn't very good. Like, let's be honest, when we're talking Spider-Man No Way Home, nobody's being like, man, I can't wait to see Jamie Foxx as a yellow Electro, or man, I can't wait to see the Lizard in No Way Home. People want to see Doc Ock. People want to see Willem Dafoe. Some people even want to see James Franco. That's not going to happen, obviously.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah,
I want to see that. I honestly thought that Sandman was one of the top villains. I thought he was so good, and that story was so emotional. He was such a reluctant villain, and I absolutely loved that villain entirely.
I could be wrong on this. I think he's appearing only as a voice.
That would make
I'm
sense if
sure
he's
Sandman is staying like Sandman look for the movie, but I can't confirm that or anything. So
I guess that gives us Michael's number 2.
the
So
penultimate.
this was actually really tough for me. And I've been going back and forth with it. I have such an emotional attachment to Tobey Maguire, that first Spider-Man movie, period. I don't know, it's high up there for me. So, but like I said, I try my best to separate my feelings as far as that. And when I do rankings like these, so I went into, I was late to the Tom Holland movies, because I'm not like huge into Marvel, but I remember my friend coming to me and he was a huge Toby fan, and he was like, "I'm telling you now, I think Tom Holland does a way better job than Toby Maguire." I'm like, "That's not possible. Like, I need you to get out of my face right now because I might smack the shit out of you. Like, that's just not gonna happen." And I watched them, and I really liked Tom Holland in those movies. And he's grown on me, and like I said, I rewatched them again, and I love Tom Holland in those movies, but I couldn't put him number 1. So he comes in at number 2 for me. It was closer than I thought it would be. Just because I thought it would never, I don't know. He comes in at number 2 for me.
My number 1 is Andrew Garfield. I don't think he has a top 3 Spider-Man movie. I don't know if he has a top 5 Spider-Man movie. But him as the character Peter Parker, him as the character Spider-Man, I think is number 1 for both. And when you do that, you kind of have to have him at number 1. Someone had a comment here earlier I wanted to highlight. Justin Smith, Garfield cracked way more witty jokes and had the personality of Spider-Man way more to me. Yeah, I don't think anybody's Spider-Man is anywhere close to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I think he's alone. Although I actually really liked his costume in the first movie. I know a lot of people didn't. I did, and I didn't like it in the second movie, which is unfortunate because I know his costume in No Way Home is definitely the one from the second movie. So, anyway, I got Garfield at number 1, guys. The second movie is a disaster, but to me, it's only a disaster because of the villains and a relationship with Harry that just feels forced. And I also thought this version of Harry Osborn was terrible as well. I didn't think he came anywhere close to James Franco's version. And I don't know. I just there's not a whole lot of redeeming qualities to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, except, and I think this is what really does it for me with Andrew Garfield, is his on-screen chemistry with Emma Stone, in my opinion, is the best of all the movies. It's better than Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst by a long shot. And Tom Holland and Zendaya, even though they're together in real life, feel very forced in those movies. I mean, she's not even really in the picture in the first movie. Silence.
I agree with that.
I love Garfield and Stone together. I thought they were great. I
don't know.
Death was a very like the way they say what you want about that second movie, the way they handle her death, and the way like that he grieves over it. I don't know if there's a Spider-Man movie, even with the Uncle Ben dying multiple times and Tony Stark dying in Endgame. I don't know if we ever really get into how they cope with that stuff, and we get to see that in Andrew Garfield's second movie. I think it's a very redeeming quality about the end that even like the strongest of heroes can be taken down mentally, and it's tough. And he doesn't come out till he basically has to at the end, where he stands up to that terrible version of Rhino in front of the kid. So
I think chemistry for me is always going to be Toby and what's her name? Is it
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, Kirsten. It's always going to be those two for me. I rewatch, like I said. I mean, I don't know. It's just I think they're the best, and I definitely agree with you about Tom Holland and Zendaya. I mean, like you said, she doesn't even really. She's really a no factor in that first film, except for a couple of lines, which is highly disrespectful because I love Zendaya a lot.
Even the second film was kind of like, okay, I'm still like not seeing. They have not told their love story very well in the first two.
No, they haven't. I agree with that. I think storyline wise, that relationship was put on the back burner for whatever reason.
Oh, he moved right before I took him out. All right, let's hear it.
How dare you? How dare you say that the on-stream chemistry is better than Toby and Kirsten? How dare you do that?
Planet.
Oh my God.
That said, though, let's remember
this is why you like Hayden Christensen, because you don't know anything about acting. This is why you like robotic Michael better, because you just want all your people to be robots.
Are you calling me George Lucas? Let's remember that
Would be
Andrew
offended?
Garfield, though, and Emma Stone are Academy Award-winning performers, so
Who?
they have that going. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone.
So is Zendaya. Don't disrespect my girl like that. Yeah.
What she went for?
I want to say Euphoria, her HBO show.
I've never seen it, but
I
I've
know
heard.
that. Toby has one too, does he not?
I think Toby got nominated for the movie he did with. I thought he got nominated for the movie he did with Natalie Portman and Jake Gyllenhaal, Brothers, I think it was called.
Yeah, he was really good in that.
Fantastic in that movie. Great movie. Another movie that deals with some really deep issues. And haven't watched that movie in like a decade, but it's a good one. Tough watch though. It is a tough watch. But yeah, there you have it. So Andrew Garfield, number one for me. Did you guys already do your number one?
If you like Garfield, then that's okay. But that's terrible. I hate you.
Have you ever seen Hacksaw Ridge?
No, I've never seen Hacksaw Ridge.
It's worth watching.
Does it have Emma Stone acting like a cat?
No.
I'm pretty sure she's actually a cat.
Okay.
I like Emma Stone a lot.
I like her if she was in Cats.
Jay says the real on-screen chemistry will be between Andrew and Tom. I think they're Spider-Man more alike.
Toby is my favorite. Toby's number one. And it's kind of what I alluded to earlier. He did the best job of invoking emotion. He has so many iconic scenes in all those Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 3 was a mess, but yeah, it was a mess because there was a whole bunch of craziness in what directions they were going to go and what they needed to have in it. And honestly, I other than there was a scene where he had to go and pretend to be a weird, pretend to do all the crazy dancing and all that crazy shit. And I honestly thought it was hilarious. It does take you out of the movie. However, the scenes that he has in the first two Spider-Man movies, the hardships he goes through, the idea, he can't pay his rent, and how am I supposed to be a fucking superhero if I can't even pay my goddamn rent? My girlfriend, thinks I'm being distant with me because I got to do this. I thought that emotionally, he had all the problems that, a teenager or a young adult should have. And I thought he invoked emotion way better than anyone else. He does do a lot of wisecracking, but he's not very good at it. Like he's not good at being sarcastic. So that was the major knock on him. But honestly, like his acting in these movies is, I think, far superior to the other two. I think that he just, you feel sorry for him when he's sad. You feel happy for him when he's happy. He makes you feel the things that you're supposed to feel for the character when he's, nerdy and doesn't want MJ to know about him. And he's kind of like, what should I say? Oh my God, I said something stupid in front of her. Now she's not going to like me. Like,
no. He was just straight up being a dick. He was an asshole. Should have showed up to her show, damn it. One time. Show up to her show one time, damn it. You can miss one call.
Yeah.
Screw those other people. Who cares if those women and children would have died? Fuck them. Go to the show.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
All he has to do is tell her that he's
baby.
Spider-Man. Even like the scene where he calls her and then he hangs up and then he picks up the phone again and says like, I'm Spider-Man. That's why I can't do this with you. Like, it just, honestly, I get chills just thinking about it. Just thinking about the, he got awkward. He got awkward relationship person, which is definitely a Spider-Man trait. He's always been pretty bad with his relationships. And I think he did a fantastic job as Peter Parker. And his Spider-Man was not quite as good as Garfield's, I don't think. But, I mean, most of the movie is spent as Peter Parker. So I think it's a little bit more important.
Man, I just have a hard time putting Toby at 1 when he's barely in the top 5 for like his own movies in terms of performances, in my opinion. I think it starts at Willem Dafoe as number 1. And then James.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like the character journey for Harry, even in 3, I thought made sense. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock in 2 was great. And then I'd have Tobey Maguire in there at number 4. I mean, that's not a fault of him necessarily, but I do think the villains really carried those movies.
I definitely wouldn't have Franco in there, but
oh wow,
I would have Franco in there for sure.
I know he's a dick in real life, but like those movies do not work without his character, like at all.
Yeah, so
I mean, I think he's good in there, but I wouldn't rank him above Toby.
I have Toby at 1 as well. It was a lot closer, like I said, than I thought it would be. But I was so into those first 3 films with Toby. I mean, the third isn't the best. I'll definitely concede that. But even in that movie, I was really intrigued. I was intrigued with Peter Parker. I was intrigued with Spider-Man itself. I don't know. That first movie just holds. It's just such a holy grail to me. Not just for Spider-Man, just in general. I mean, James Franco. I mean, everybody in that film was just phenomenal to me. And maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. So maybe I'm holding that, a little too high or a little bit too much, giving it too much weight in this conversation. But I love Toby in these 3 films. There's not a lot from him that I can pick out that I can be like, I don't like that, or I can do without that. I thought he did great. I thought his acting was phenomenal, the best of the 3, in my opinion. So that's why he comes in at number 1 for me. And like I said, I tried to go in with these new rewatches with an open mind and come out with something different, like I did with James Jude Courtney finally taking over the mantle for me for Nick, and really for all 3 of us over Nick Castle. I tried to do that, but it wasn't between Andrew Garfield. It was with Tom Holland. But Toby still came out number 1 to me, and I don't know. We'll see how this third film goes, because it is close for me between those 2. If Tom Holland can come in here, show a little bit more emotion, maybe he can surpass Toby. But Toby's in this one too, so I guess we'll see.
Well, fellas,
who was the best character in all those Spider-Man movies? Like all of them. Bonesaw.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, Toby's not even fourth in his movies. It's definitely J. Jonah Jameson would be somewhere in the top 4.
J. Jonah Jameson could be the best out of every character. Like, it actually could be the best out of any character in all the Spider-Man
I'm
movies.
glad they never recast him and that they just went back.
When can we rank Aunt May's? Because I'm here for that.
Next episode, baby.
And that's no competition. If there's any competition, I'll be highly disappointed.
We know who George Costanza's pick would be. That's for sure. Anyways, fellas, this was fun. It was just a nice, short little episode. And I just thought I'd say that, I'll end it with this. I'm fairly confident that Scream 2022 is going to be a better movie than Halloween Kills.
Then Halloween Ends, you mean? Sorry. You mean Ends, right?
No.
Do you know a lot about the film?
I know a fair amount, not as much as Halloween Kills, which obviously was basically the whole movie. I just have more confidence in what that production has done. And I didn't really like the I don't know. I liked Kills. I'm not in love with Kills. I don't know how many people would agree with me if you've read the script. I think the script is better than the movie. And I don't know if they did the best job of translating on paper to on screen. Still a really good Halloween movie, though. Definitely somewhere in the middle for me. And yeah, I don't know. I have more faith in Scream 2022, and that just shocks me.
I mean, I will say that once they announced they were doing this new Scream film, I was not excited just because I was so let down and disappointed with the overall film of Scream 4. I was like, fuck, another one? But the marketing that they've done, the images that I've seen, everything that they have done so far, I've been highly impressed with. And I'm looking very forward to seeing this new Scream film. And I can sit here and say that was not my opinion when they announced this movie.
Yeah, I think it'll be dog shit.
I was gonna say I could totally see myself still leaving the theater in January going, well, that sucked. I'm just saying, on the surface, it looks like there's some reason for some hope over there. Anyways, Kieran, where can everybody find you at, man?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me in the Fandom Empire Den. You can check me out on the Twitter machine at Gogan Kieran. So my name just flipped. And yeah. I mean, you can find me at the Rick and Morty Fan Show on Instagram as well. But I haven't done a lot on there lately, to be honest. So there's not a ton to find there.
Solid Saturn says Halloween Ends has a working title, Cave Dweller. Yeah, we've been talking about that a little bit today in the chat, and all I'll say is if you remember certain conversations that we had here, and I don't mean just on Patreon, you can probably get an idea where it's going. Just saying. I don't want that job, Jerry. No thanks. I'll gladly pass on that job. Mike, where can everybody find you at, Ben?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at @MichaelBish_ and on Instagram at @mbish_. Yeah, man. Ends. I think it's. I don't know. I don't know what that setup is going to look like in Savannah, Georgia. To be honest, I've been to Savannah, and I've been to Wilmington. I can tell you, I get more Haddonfield vibes in Wilmington. But movie magic. We'll see what they do.
Indeed. Yeah, it's going to do it for us. By the way, you can also find Mike at I Hate Andrew Garfield on Twitter.
Not true.
But anyways, yeah, check it out, guys. Resident Evil live tomorrow. A video for us, and the movie is live worldwide. Check that out, and we'll see you guys sometime soon. Maybe
I
soon.
changed my rankings.
Oh, do you?
Garfield's last.
Fuck
Just
you.
for you. Just for you.
Good night, everybody. Man, a whole episode. No Johnny, no Tommy.
It's kind of a vacation for us.
Right?